And so I wanted to talk a little bit about the perception and what you guys were just talking about getting value in buying something sustainable. And there's still a disconnect between consumers wanting to do good and putting their money behind it. And it's because of this kind of fast fashion culture and not necessarily understanding the impact, what fast fashion or what the fashion pollutants that go into these products entail. So we did a survey to our kind of VIP customers and asked, what is sustainability important to you? And everyone said yes. And then 1 to 10, how does it drive your business? And it was around a 5. And so it is really interesting that as important as it is in our value system, it isn't necessarily driving our purchasing process right now. So that's one major thing that I think like all of us here are trying to change. And it's through our stories, it's through telling people what the impact of that purchase is. And so I really quickly want to just answer that question about why Elle decided to be sustainable. And what people don't think about is the fashion waste. And Nicole, you touched on that a little bit, but people also don't realize that when you return a product because it doesn't fit right, 90% of the time that is not going to go back on the rack. It's not going to be resold. It's going to go into the waste and it's going to go into the landfills. And so when we started, really thought about that, and Andrea, our founder, who is a specialist in this and has worked for a lot of major brands, she the specialty sizing system so that women and men didn't have to return their clothes after buying it, that they could find their perfect fit direct consumer without having to try on 5 things and return 4 and keep 1, because those 4 things are going to go into the landfill. And as we've developed that system and as we've put it out to customers, we're seeing a huge success with it, that women and men are saying, oh my God, for the first time I'm able to find something that fits my size and length on the first try. And so, I mean, a major reason why we have to look at our whole system in fashion. Fashion is, depending on what report you read, the number 2 to number 3 polluter of all the industries, which is incredible to think. So like, it's not just one solution here. We have to look at this and create new innovative ways, whether it's sizing or whether it's the material that we use. There's
Absolutely, Tamara. Couldn't agree more. Fashion is it's 5, but it is also the greatest exploiter of people, particularly women on the planet. So it's astounding when we look at the UN Sustainable Development Goals. The majority of them are impacting conscious and ethical fashion supply chain. And to your point, across the entire functionality, not just manufacturing.
If I may just follow Tamara's points as well, because for us, we also want to work with charities and also some of the other nonprofit organizations like Just for Success. And one of the challenges that they face is a lot of people want to donate items that they just don't want anymore, but they don't really think whether the quality passes certain marks for the next person who will actually have them. So it actually created a lot of additional labor and frustration also for these charity organizations to also go through these just non-used items that cannot be used again. And also, eventually these items go to the garbage anyway. So I think, just by looking at how long you are wearing the clothes and how you like the clothes, but also think about the next consumer, or where you want to deal with these clothing, which places you want to give them to, or what you want to do, and just to think about all the landfill, and also like the only way to burn them is just excruciating to think about that what we are doing to our earth. So really encourage everyone to think much longer term.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing all of these perspectives. It's always so interesting to speak with innovators, because all of you are innovators in the fashion industry, and on top of being business owners. And there's a number of different challenges that you have in your industry. And I think the more that we learn about those challenges, the more that we can come to appreciate what it really takes to build sustainable garments, and to think twice about the life cycle of those garments. So thank you. That's certainly given me a lot to think about. So we're actually coming up in, I wanted to touch on uh, the whole past year and everything that's been going on in 2020. How has your business evolved? I'm sure sustainability is difficult when there's not a global pandemic. And so I'm curious to see how 2020 affected your business practices, and how you may have adapted, and how do you see sustainability playing a role in the future success of your business?
I'm happy to share. I got pregnant. I'm sorry, I delivered my first child right around the time the pandemic hit. So it's been a year. We had to very quickly pivot towards lounge, athleisure, Zoom-friendly wardrobes. We've also had to pivot how we work with brands, because ultimately we want them to be successful. Their success is our success. So we've had to be more flexible in creating just unique and more innovative partnership models to work with them, because futures are so uncertain. We've definitely had warehousing and shipping issues, as many brands have. We're still dealing with some of those warehousing issues now, and so those have fluctuated as COVID has fluctuated. It's definitely been a challenge, and I think, as I think about 2021, I think the team is more committed than ever. The importance of give customers ease of access to unethical items. I think it's more important than ever, and create these bespoke partnerships with our brand partners and continue to stay in close contact with them as we help them get through this time as well. And so that's sort of the think about the future, but what a year it's been.
I can chime in here and say that we're obviously a very operations, and because we are a managed marketplace and we intake the clothes and process them and then ship them out. And at the beginning of the pandemic, there was definitely a moment of not knowing how COVID even spreads, and a lot of research when there wasn't a lot of information yet about how safe this is. And one thing that we learned early on was that coronaviruses can't withstand heat. And since everything that comes in, we were like, okay, it's good. Like at least at that point, and it probably can't last more than a few days on the garments. So, okay, by the time it gets here, it's probably fine. And then we steam it, and that, and just thinking about all of these things. And then of course, thinking about how to keep our team safe as they're working, and creating ways for less people to be, working in the same skiing in different places. And we're lucky to be in California and Los Angeles, so doing a lot of things outside, which sounds really crazy, but well, being outdoors is safer. So how can we transition how we're operating? And we've just been really, we're a startup, right? So we're being really flexible and creative, and taking advantage of the warm climate that we're in, and really focusing on making sure that people are safe, and obviously wearing masks and that sort of thing. But it's been a really crazy year too. And it sounds like, a lot of us here are moms. I'm a mom of a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old, and just talk about how there's no school anymore. So that just personally has been intense. And I think that, I went into 2020 my list of goals and things that I wanted to accomplish in the year, and quite frankly, I didn't hit all of those marks that I had hoped, and was, I am, juggling a few more things than I normally would. And so I'm trying to practice more kindness for myself. I'm also working every day of the week. And, you know, when I said that, my eyes a little bit, just like feeling that stress. So I'm hoping that, you know, in this coming year, we've started 2021. I hope that, you know, more schools and we can start to get back to normal in a safe way.